Okay, good morning, everyone. I declare council meeting CL25/9 open and welcome everyone here. Please note this meeting is being live streamed and the consequences of that. Let's start with our usual karakia. Whakatau mai te wara, whakawate mai te hinanaro, whakarite mai te tinana, ke ai ngā mai, ke ai ngā mahi. Hey. I have an apology from Councillor Henry and Councillor Cox has just walked in. There are no late items to consider. Oh, sorry, I need to move in second for Councillor Henry. I'll move in second. Councillor Joyce, Councillor Granger, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Consideration of late items, there are none. Declarations of interest. Anyone got a declaration of interest? No, okay. Public excluded. Is any there? Public forum. Let's see anyone there for public forum. So moving to quite a few minutes for receipt and adoption. So minutes of the Katikati Community Board held on the 28th of May. Can I have a mover and seconder for those, please? Councillor Sol, Councillor Joyce, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Te Puke Community Board on the 29th of May.
I'd like to speak to.
Councillor Wickers would like to speak, so please.
Yeah. Just noting that these minutes haven't been passed the community board yet, but I've checked with Robin, it's legit. We're just receiving them, but noting that they haven't been approved by the community board. Okay, would you like to move those? Councillor Wickers and Councillor Daly, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Mokoroa Community Board held on the 3rd of June. Councillor Granger and Councillor Thwaites, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Waihi Beach Community Board held on the 9th of June. Councillor Sol and who else? It doesn't need to be someone, we're just receiving them. So Councillor Joyce, second. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Makatu Community Board held on the 17th of June. Deputy Mayor Scrimger, Councillor Ray, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. So moving on to the council and committee minutes for confirmation, we're on page 60. So minutes of the extraordinary council meeting on the 8th of May. I'll move those. Deputy Mayor Scrimger seconds. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the council meeting on the 13th of May. I'm again happy to move that. Deputy Mayor Scrimger, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Strategy and Policy Committee meeting held on the 20th of May. Councillor Granger, I'll second those. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the council meeting on the 27th of May. Deputy Mayor Scrimger, I'll second those. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of Audit, Risk and Finance Committee, 4th of June. Councillor Granger and Councillor Sol. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Annual Plan, Long-Term Plan Committee meeting on the 5th of June. Deputy Mayor Scrimger and someone second that one. Councillor Ray, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right, on to page 150. Minutes of the Projects and Monitoring Committee held on the 10th of June. Councillor Thwaites, Councillor Sol, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of Strategy and Policy on 12th of June. I'll move those. And Councillor Granger seconds. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Minutes of the Community Committee, 25th of June. Would you like to move those, Councillor Bench and Councillor Daly? Would you like to second those? Yeah. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. And the last one for this is minutes of the council meeting on the 26th of June. I'll move those. Deputy Mayor Scrimger. But that all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. So we're up to page 197. And the item lying on the table from the an earlier meeting with the membership, the Leading for Delivery Subcommittee and Smart Growth of the Smart Growth Leadership Group. Emily.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. As the report title suggests, this is the item that was previously left lying on the table, coming back for your reconsideration. there's been some clarification since the last meeting that the terms of reference don't require adoption by this council or the other councils. So the recommendations relate only to the appointment of the mayor to that subcommittee, and Deputy Mayor John Scrimgeour is the alternate.
Any further questions? Councillor Joyce.
So can I just clarify, has the subcommittee met already?
Informally, yes.
So, okay, informally. So one of the questions that concerned us last time was the very vague terms of reference, and I realise that's now been taken off the table. But, you know, does this subcommittee have any decision-making role?
Not a substantive decision-making, no.
So what does it decide on?
It encourages staff to work on things that they need to be working on.
Okay. How will you, as our representative, report back to council on this? Because the fact that you've had meetings, we haven't heard anything is a little bit concerning.
Yeah. Okay, so formally it reports back to the Smart Growth Leadership Group, and so that's and obviously you have access to the agenda and minutes for those and the live stream, so you can see that. I'm happy to give an update in my mail report if necessary as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Daly.
James, could you clarify the membership? I see the terms of reference are dated 4th of April, but I understand at the combined Tangata Whenua Forum, there was a lot of discussion about this point. And in terms of the subcommittee may co-opt one or more people either permanently or temporarily. Are you aware of the discussion that occurred around this from Tangata Whenua perspective?
We approved the membership last meeting, I believe. I'm not aware of the behind the scenes conversations that may or may not have taken place, but Tangata Whenua put forward a member and we approved it at the last meeting.
The meetings, would the alternate and the principal be present at all times, or they do have the opportunity to be present at all times?
I guess the alternates can turn up, sure.
Yeah. I understand that there was a request from Tangata Whenua that whatever was on the agenda at the time, a knowledge specialist could be co-opted onto the committee in addition to the primary and the alternate, depending on what was on the table at the time.
The terms of reference provide for co-opted members. And it's also worth noting that Tapio joins as well.
So Western Bay Planning District Council could use that clause as well to our benefit potentially.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think it's worth noting that we're trying to keep it a small group. Otherwise, you just end up recreating the Smart Growth Leadership Group, which defeats the point of just keeping it tight and nimble.
It does seem that it has grown a little bit. But...
Any other questions? No? Okay. So we've got the two recommendations there. Can I have a mover and seconder for those two recommendations, please? Happy to move. Deputy Mayor Scrimgeour, would you like to second? Thank you. Or I'll put the motion.
No.
Would you like to debate? Okay, sure.
I won't be supporting this motion. I don't agree with it. If Mayor of Tauranga is negotiating capital gains tax with central government or congestion charging with central government, I don't see it in a secret little group. Whether priority one gets another cent from this council will obviously be determined by next year's annual plan. But I'm extremely disappointed with their part in this whole part and Mahi's engineering to even try and bring them into it. So I won't be supporting this.
Okay. Don't think that's the purpose of it, but okay. Councillor Joyce.
I do share some concerns about this. I mean, even the way you've described today, a small, tight group, is not how democracy works. it's not, the terms of reference are still vague. They haven't been changed, they haven't been clarified. It's a sort of decision-making maybe body, we just don't know. There's no clear reporting lines of what goes on. I know there are important matters in front of our region. The big ones, local water's done well, the regional deal. I have no problem with the mayors and chairs sitting down and having a coffee because we can't stop them anyway. But to set up a formal structure outside the structures of the councils and the wider smart growth group is of concern to me. It smells of a very small, tight group running things to the detriment of anybody else that's supposed to be involved. And I am not comfortable with that. And I would like a lot more reassurance around, the reporting structure, what it actually wants to do, what it's actually going to be working on. And instead we've retreated behind this line that, actually the terms of reference don't require approval, which is not collaborative. It is not team building. It is actually pulling power into a very small group of mayors and chairs, or mayors and chair, because it's one chair. And I don't think that's healthy. I'm sorry.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Cox, I think that's next.
I won't be supporting this either. I just think it's another level of bureaucracy that we don't need. And again, I agree with what Don has said and also Rodney. It's just another unnecessary group, and it's a tight group where probably big decisions are made, and I see no point in it.
Okay, Councillor Murray Bench.
As we go through the reform process, it's really important that all councillors are involved as much as possible. To shift it to another layer of decision making, I think is really quite undemocratic. And I feel very concerned if, for example, as Councillor Thwaites has said, they got into discussing things like congestion charging and determining what our council should do without actually referring back to us. So it's not often that we have the chance to stand up to the likes of smart growth. I don't believe in it, I never have. And I just think that local government is so precious. You keep the decision making round the tables. And if you want to talk to other councillors, then we do it as a pack. And our city council and Western Bay should be working more closely together. And the regional council, if I listen to Shane Jones, it's about to exit the system. And there's no reason why we can't do the decisions of the region, and duplication is a worry. And so I'm happy to not vote for it, sir.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to speak because clearly there's some misunderstanding here, and it's disappointing to hear that this hasn't, if your concerns haven't been addressed in the meantime or asked me about them. There are formal reporting lines. It is to Smart Growth Leadership Group. Councillor Thwaites did approve the terms of reference as his membership when Smart Growth voted on this. So to not approve it now just seems a little bit odd to me. This is not about doing a secret deal on capital gains tax or congestion charge behind the backs. It's about having a nimble discussion outside of having a quarterly SLG meeting, which is difficult to convene at if we need to do things at short notice and move things along. But they will come, any substantive decision comes back to council fully open and for full deliberation. This is just about having a discussion that you might want to call it a week's notice, and not having to call a meeting of 20 people and align calendars and things like that. That's the key aspect of it. So yeah, a little bit confused about why it's going so off rails a bit, but Deputy Mayor Scrimgeour.
Yes, I would like to make a few comments in light of what's been said, and I believe that this is very similar to a small group that operated in the previous triennium, where the mayors, chairs had a small group with opportunity, particularly to speak with ministers of the Crown who didn't want to engage with a large group. And I see that as this is a similar opportunity. And I certainly endorse what you have said about having to report back to Smart Growth, and Smart Growth then having to refer matters of decision to councils for their approval or rejection. And so I really struggle to see how it is going to change anything. And I have to say, well, I agree on a sentiment in one aspect with Councillor Coxhead. We don't need lots and lots of committees, but I don't see this as adding to the bureaucracy. This is the elected members and the opportunity to have discussions that can facilitate forward direction.
It's reducing the bureaucracy. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
So Emily.
Sorry, Mayor James, one point maybe I should have mentioned earlier as well is that the Smart Growth Leadership Group has set up the subcommittee through its previous resolutions. The subcommittee can meet whether or not there is a Western Bay appointee to it or not. So that's just something I'd like you to be aware of prior to considering your position on this.
Thank you, Emily. Councillor Henry.
I don't think I've ever met the Smart Growth Committee. I don't think they've ever come to visit us here at our council. And I hear very little from them. And I hear very little from our people that are actually sitting on Smart Growth reporting back to us. So there is the problem for me. So this is another level of a little group of people who are doing something. And will they report back to the council? Probably not. So, and as you said, Mayor James, that, you know, you're going to get together and sort out direction, So why can't you just go off for a cup of coffee and have a group meeting and work that out? Why do you have to have a formal structure? Why, can you answer the question, why is it so important that you need to have that? What are you wanting to deliver? Is it your direction? Is it 4 people? I can't even see. I'll read this quickly, and I do apologise for my lateness today, caught on site with salt and pepper floors. Is priority 1 on this? I don't think they are they? No, there you go. So, yeah, I'm very, very uncomfortable with it. I don't think it's necessary. Yes, you can have your own little get-togethers like we councillors do, meet at different people's places and work out a direction that we're going to come and annoy this committee with. But that's so. Why? What are you wanting to deliver? There's obviously some stream that you're wanting to give some strong direction for that you have to have another committee for. So I know question time is probably gone, but I'm sorry, I didn't get my question out.
I'm happy to answer your questions. So I think Deputy Mayor Scrimgeour touched on this. This is sort of discussion that would happen anyway, and actually we're trying to be more open and transparent about it, and seemingly getting punished for that. So I mean, the alternative is you just have chats behind the scenes anyway. So and look, the other aspect to this is that things have moved on a bit. This was meant to be a proto-regional deals governance thing. That's not how it's turning out. It's just pushing. It's trying to make sure the PDAs are kept moving. This isn't unlikely to be the regional governance, the regional deal governance now. Well, it's not going to be. So its purpose has subsided a little bit. But look, this is about our representation on this group. That's all it is.
Well, I think priority 1 should be on there, because as far as I'm concerned, priority 1 is the only one who's actually having a priority and actually getting anything done.
Okay. No speakers. Councillor Granger.
I have a question before I say something, something that you raised earlier. You said that this committee is needed to address urgent decisions that can't wait to meeting. That's what you said.
So not urgent decisions. It's
No, that's what you said.
I may have misspoken.
So there are no urgent decisions that this committee has to take.
It's not. These are not substantive decisions. When I said what I meant was, let's have a meeting with somebody. Let's organise it quickly, like someone who might be able to reduce a barrier to getting a PDA developed. let's have a meeting there. That's not a decision as such. That's a decision to have a meeting, should we say?
And I'm correct in understanding from Emma that, Emily, sorry, that really makes no difference what we say around this table because the committee's already been set up.
Councillor Sol.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I follow the same principle. Committee sounds like it's all set up where it goes, but frankly, I follow very much Councillor Henry's line. There's nothing stopping the mayors and leaders of certain areas getting together and discussing something really quickly. It just seems to be another step in removing decision-making well, let's take it the other way. Let's exaggerate it a little bit the other way. It's giving more power to the powerful and potential for them to just straight out drive something by turning up. This is what we're doing. Bang, here it is. That didn't hurt, did it? Well, this won't hurt, did it? And it's all over. It does not actually smell of something that's actually nice for a democracy. So no issues. You want to get together remotely, that can't be stopped, but as a formal group, don't approve.
Okay, any other speakers? Sorry. Councillor Rain.
I too won't be supporting this today, unfortunately. I don't actually agree or appreciate smart growth at all. So let alone what I support any sort of subcommittee. So that's about all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Rain. Councillor Wiggers.
Yeah, interesting listening to the discussion. It sounds like the problem that a lot of councillors have is actually with smart growth itself. Probably since this committee is set up anyway, if we don't appoint anyone to it, we won't be part of it. That if you want to address the real problem, that happens at whatever approvals happen in regard to how smart growth put together, I would say put your energies there.
Thank you, Councillor Wiggers. Councillor Daly.
Yeah, I'll vote accordingly to at the time, but I just want to state the objective of this committee to direct delivery of priority projects outlined in the implementation and funding plan, the priority development areas and government's reforms and projects as they affect growth and development in the sub-region. And then the scope of the activity, you can read that yourself, but it seems to me that this is sort of governance moving into, you know, like the staff jobs. Traditionally, smart growth has been, has an administration like the independent chair and people like Ken Tremaine. I mean, they'd go away and do this sort of stuff in the background, then come back and report to the Smart Growth Committee. It seems like this is sort of governance sort of moving a bit more into the delivery side of things. And I'm just not quite sure if that is correct or not, but it's obviously a clear push from the senior governance members, the mayors and chairs, to maybe capture a bit of control for that subgroup, but which ordinarily I probably wouldn't object to be honest. But in this case, I think it does seem a little bit too exclusive, and why not just keep it at the wider smart growth level for this sort of thing? But I understand the rationale, but I'm just a bit uncomfortable with it.
Okay, I'm going to my right to reply. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around here. It was lying on the table in order to get some comfort with that. I was led to believe that, because I had no particular intention to bring it back if we're going to have this kind of debate again. But I was led to believe that if we brought it back, people would have more comfort and having understood a little bit more. I think, you know, this is actually trying to achieve what smart growth is trying to achieve. All we're trying to do is get things done, encourage staff to work on appropriate projects which are already in the implementation and delivery plans. So it's nothing new, just trying to achieve what governance set out to achieve. But there we are. Okay, so I think that's all the speakers. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, I think they go with hands. All those in favour, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. And all those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's lost. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to page 203. And LGFA half-year report and statement of intent.
Through the mayor, so I'll have this report as read. It contains the 6 monthly report from LGFA and also the statement of intent confirmed after feedback from other councils for the year. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Cox.
Adele, would you mind clarifying something? All council debt, so our council and with everybody else, all debt is cross-securitizing all other councils' debt. So one council, let's say, was to fail, then all councils are on the hook for that. Is that correct? Theoretically, yes, but our first course is obviously through rates and making sure that each council manages its balance sheet and its profit and loss correctly. So unlikely in New Zealand, but I understand your concern given that other councils overseas have been in that predicament. So yeah, what was less of a concern, more of something that does come up quite frequently on pages and things like that. So given that, and I understand that there's benefit in terms of interest rate with LGFA, but of course we do have access to banks, don't we? And this problem wouldn't be an issue if we went directly to a bank ourselves. They'd take a charge over our rates, wouldn't they? That's correct, but we certainly wouldn't get the rates that we get through LGFA, given our rating and given that the government is also a 20% shareholder in LGFA, which gives us the highest possible rating and therefore the lowest possible interest rates available to us. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Joyce.
So a couple of things, just follow up on that one. When we talk about the cross guarantees, but actually the first much higher recourse is to that one council's own rates, right? Yeah, so for them to come looking for our rates, somebody else that already would have got the money out of whichever council defaulted first. So it's quite a remote possibility. I'm not saying that's new to the people in this room, but as Tracy points out, there are a few people out there that worry about this. So yeah, if Wellington City did go belly up, Wellington City ratepayers would be the first on the hook for it. It's making a healthy profit. So I was interested to know, as part of the same sort of question, what happens to that profit? Is it being distributed or is the LGFA building up reserves? Because obviously LGFA's own reserves would also be in line if something went wrong.
Through the mayor, and just confirming, Councillor Joyce, about your comments that the first recourse in any situation would be back through the local rates for that particular council if there was an issue. In relation to the performance of LGFA, yes, they have been performing well, and they do pay us a dividend under which we do budget for a dividend each year, and so that is part of our other income sources other than rates.
And one other one. Operating expense of $8 million a year. That seems quite high. I don't know how, is there any reason why it's so expensive to run? But it's, how big is the team? It must be a fairly small office, surely.
Through the mayor, they do manage their costs extremely well. Being on the Shareholders Council, it's something that we monitor, and any appointments we're also across. They are now managing about $21 billion worth of debt, and so to do that, they're also having to seek funds from overseas. So they need specialist skills to be able to undertake this level of work. Councils are also borrowing. On average, quite a short term. So that means that they're going to market quite regularly in terms of optimising the outcomes.
Okay, Councillor Murray-Bench.
There's been a lot of publicity, significant publicity, about the fact of the failure of one council impacting everybody else. And I think I understood your answer, Adele, but Is this where we would have applied to go into tier one for funding? We're tier three, and it seems so wrong when we're tier one for planning and not for finance. Is this where we would have applied to go into tier one for funding?
Through the mayor. So the tier one isn't actually an issue. So we borrow based on our LGFA rates and in conjunction with our Standard & Poor's rating. So that's where the borrowing rates come from. In terms of some of the other metrics, I think you're referring to local waters done well and what we could borrow, which meant that if you were considered a growth council, you could borrow up to 350% should you keep the operations in-house. Our requirements were actually higher than 350%. And that's why we've gone down the alternative route of looking at other options which enable more revenue from financial contributions to be recognised. So what LGFA have said is that they will look at each council individually in terms of its requirements and will assess it on a case-by-case basis. So we didn't really need to worry about being a tier one or not. It's what our borrowing requirements were, whether we met the legislative requirements, and then they would be doing a review and considering our application.
Councillor Darling.
Adele, do you want to comment on the 21 objectives being met apart from the green, social and sustainability loans and the amount of council lending in that space? Has there been any consideration of a review of that objective based on the government's recent discussion around the 4 wellbeings?
Through the mayor. So in terms of the sustainability, there's quite a high criteria to meet to be able to get that loan, which effectively means at a lower borrowing rate. But I understand your concern, and I will raise it with LG in terms of the consideration moving forward. So I agree. What was a requirement previously? It is a good approach globally in terms of getting money from the markets, because they do look at the sustainability option as being desirable.
And have we ever accessed that aspect?
No, we haven't.
We have looked at it in the past, but I think it needs to be quite large to make it worthwhile. Councillor Joyce.
So I'm not very good at answering Patsy questions, but we had the recent news from Standard & Poor's. A lot of councils have been downgraded. What have we heard lately about our rating from Standard & Poor's? How's that for a Patsy?
Thank you, Councillor Joyce. I am pleased to announce that we have maintained our AA rating with a negative outlook as per our previous rating. They were quite complimentary in terms of our current performance and the reason for undertaking that, and we'll be putting out a media release shortly. And we will have the full report coming to council at the next council meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Mowbray.
What is our neighbours' rating, Adele?
I don't think I'll make any comment on that at the moment. I'm not sure whether they have received the upgrade or change in their rating currently.
Okay, I think we've reached the end of the question. So there's 4 recommendations there. Could I have a mover and second for those 4 recommendations, please? Councillor Henry, Councillor Coxhead. Any further debate on this one? No. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Councillor Daly.
Did we miss an agenda item, or am I got an outdated agenda? Or we've got 11.1 and 11.5.
So 11.1 was the Leading for Delivery subcommittee.
Okay, we did that quickly.
Yeah, we've done that, and now it's 11.2. We've just done LGFA.
Oh, there's definitely something wrong with my agenda.
Okay, so we'll move on to 11.3 on page 250, which is the CoLab half-yearly report and statement of intent. Adele.
Through the mayor. So again, this is receiving the financial statements for the first 6 months of the year to 31 December, as well as the statement of intent for the next 3 years. Just noting that now we are heavily involved as a council as part of the Building Consent Services, and if there's any questions, I might direct them to Alison, but yeah, we're receiving very good service from CoLab in terms of being able to maximise our efficiencies where we're keen.
Okay, any questions on this one? No. Oh, Councillor Wickers?
Just a general question. So in regard to the value we receive for what we pay, in your assessment, is that still of value?
Through the Mayor, yes, it is. We're tapping into a number of their work streams, and in terms of procurement, the procurement panel was put together by 4 of the councils in that region, and we certainly are able to tap into that, which means that we don't have to go through all their processes, and they've already built in the most effective costs. So it's a fast way for us to go to market, particularly when we're trying to deliver a large capital program.
Councillor Joyce?
It's a quick one. I mean, we've got CoLab and they're doing well, and they've got Poplas doing well. Yeah, these things work best when they're sizable. Is there any talk of the 2 of them getting together? Because I can see in here that some of their initiatives from one or the other have not taken off, and perhaps if there was a bigger group of councils, would get even better buying power.
Through the Mayor, one of the things that the lasses around the country have agreed is that they won't kind of overlap their services, that they will kind of run a service where other councils can join. And so it's certainly been a conversation that we've had with them in terms of what services they are providing. And so at this point in time, I think there's still value in both.
Thank you. Councillor Deputy Mayor Scrimgeour.
It's just a question in regard to the building consent processing hub. I guess it's early days at this point, progressing the opportunity, and we did have a report about this, but is this likely to lead to greater consistency between councils in terms of a lot of, I guess we've heard a lot of talk around the country in regard to this matter.
Alison?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, there is some really great opportunities through the work that we're doing with CoLab. One of the things that we've already identified, we've got 3 councils now on board doing the processing through CoLab for our building consents, which would normally happen directly with contractors. And we're already seeing just in terms of the different processes that the councils use, that there is opportunities for some streamlining and some efficiencies in that space. It is also, from our perspective, a really good selling tool in terms of going to government and saying we're already working really well together. There are some opportunities to leverage that going forward in terms of what that might look like in terms of collaboration, working more regionally around building consenting services. So yes, so we're seeing it, and across the chief executives that are part of the CoLab group, we're already seeing some pretty quick wins on this.
Thank you. Councillor Murray-Bench.
To move the recommendation, sir.
Thank you. I think I have a question from Councillor Granger, or are you seconding?
Yeah, just on that building services item on page 276, Western Bay DC doesn't have an orange box under the coordinated building service consent authorities. I thought we were collaborating with that in the statement of intent. So is that just a mistake in the document?
So I'm just trying to get my Stella to work to find that, Councillor, and I come back to you on that.
Through the Mayor, I will just confirm that that is correct, Councillor Granger. We will have them update that. Thank you.
I think my read of that, because I noticed that as well, was that the report is for the half year to December. So was that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can update it. Okay. Councillor Day.
I'm not sure who would like to answer this, perhaps Peter, but just in terms of our discussion yesterday about roads and the state of our roads and pothole repairs and everything, I'm just wondering if there's been any learnings from the CoLab and the transportation space, because I see the services are, one of the services is Waikato Regional Transportation Model, and other is Waikato Regional Infrastructure Procurement. And I was going to make the point yesterday, but I didn't, was when I drive through the Waikato and Matamata Piako especially, state of their roads just seems so much better than ours and out on their rural country roads. And they must be doing something right, or we've got different conditions or something, but their rural roads just seem in such great condition. And I'm wondering if it's down to the contractors, the methodology, what it is. But if we're not, I would certainly highly recommend some sort of cross-pollination with in transport services and procurement and contractor oversight maybe.
I'm not sure that's the same area as what the Waikato Regional Transit Model. It says here about integrated planning rather than actual delivery stuff. But Peter, did you want to comment? Or?
Yeah, look, I've got family over in the Waikato and we drive around some of the back ways to Parongi and stuff, and like, yes, there are nice roads. But I think as Callum was explaining yesterday, that the volcanic ash and stuff on our substrate that we have in our area is not that good. It seems like when you get down to South Island, it's really, really good down there because of all the rock sub-base and stuff. But if you do get the opportunity to drive down O'Regan Road out towards the Mormon Temple, and you'll see the up and down the roads and all the power poles are all propped up on angles, because trying to operate roads in a peat environment is perhaps if you went down that road there, you'd be very grateful for our roads. Yeah.
Okay, I think Councillor Mowbend wanted to move it. So do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Joyce. Assume you speak to it, please do.
I appreciated Alison Curtis's comments as to how we were benefiting from this, and it's really, and that's important. And this is a degree of cooperation that makes a great deal of sense. But I hope that the directors, Mr. Holyoke, will be replaced in the future.
That's already happened, Councillor Mowbend.
It's not in the report.
That's for the half-year report. So that's before he resigned.
Oh, good. So that's changed. So happy to support it, sir.
Okay. Councillor Daly. Oh, sorry, we've got speaking to it, Councillor Daly.
Oh, did we get a seconder?
Yeah, we did.
I was happy to second if there wasn't one yet.
Okay. It's Councillor Mowbend, Councillor Joyce. If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Which takes us to the similar item, I guess, Botglass half-yearly report and statement of intent on page 286. Any questions on this one? Councillor Coxhead.
Sorry, page 313, it talks about ESG measures, which I noticed weren't in the reports from CoLab. Is that actually a council requirement to include that?
So
basically, they're reporting on their ESG, environmental, social and governance methodology, I suppose you'd call it. Is that something that we would normally expect from these agencies?
Through the mayor, it ultimately comes down to what their settings are and what their requirements are. I did note, Councillor Cox, in when we had the draft statement of intent, you had some feedback around sustainability. They have updated the wording, and I can read it out to you what has come back, but it was noted. So I can provide them with further feedback in terms of the scope of their work in ESG, if that's a concern.
My question was more, is it something that council requires? No, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit over the top sometimes, I think, and probably a little bit virtue signalling, really.
Okay. Without any further questions, can I have a mover and seconder for those 4 recommendations, please? Councillor Sol, Deputy Mayor Scrimgeour. Any debate? Councillor Sol.
Thank you, sir. Again, I think following on from the last item on our agenda, this is really one of the ways that we are working and should be working, and councils should be working. The potential of getting numbers and services centrally or available, that is probably, to me, one of the greatest keys we have, as opposed to setting up more and more other things that take the sovereignty of the districts away. This allows us to have our sovereignty, but work and get greater power of procurement, of advice, etc. So I totally support it, sir, and I'm very pleased to move that we accept this report.
Thank you. Chair, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Takes us to confidential, so we'll move into confidential and then we'll break for morning tea after that. Okay, so could I have a mover and seconder to move us into confidential, please? Councillor Joyce, Councillor Granger, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried.